Much of Washington, D.C. shut down yesterday in fear of a storm that never really happened. That didn't stop President Obama from having dinner last night with a group of senators. And CBS News has learned he is hosting House Budget Chairman Paul Ryan at the White House for lunch today. CBS News political director John Dickerson is in Washington. John, so the president is breaking bread with his former rival? Wow.
Well, Nora, you're right. We've had in these budget, we've had sort of combat and crisis over the last, well, many months, as long as some of us feel like we can remember. Now they're going into a kind of a more gentle period with the budget. It's getting back to the regular way they do things. And what's extraordinary about this lunch is Paul Ryan was the foil for this White House long before Mitt Romney even picked him as his running mate. The idea that Paul Ryan wanted to basically gut the safety net. And now the president's sitting down with him. It's part of this White House move towards trying to find some kind of avenue of compromise with Republicans.
John, Senator Corker was here the last hour. He was talking about the dinner last night. He called it very useful, constructive, very helpful. Why is this happening now, and what makes it different?
Well, this period we're in now, which is stepping back a little bit from these constant crises, the White House thinks is a moment they might be able to find some kind of arrangement. Now, also, they're doing it a little bit out of desperation. They tried to pressure Republicans by creating outside pressure. The president went on the road trying to use public opinion. That has had mixed results. Also, dealing with the leadership directly has not worked out terribly well for the president. So now he's basically trying to go around and see if there's any kind of common ground with Republican senators instead of trying to go through Republican leaders.
John, do you think the president is communicating to the Republicans that he's open to cuts in entitlements and that he's prepared to show his hand?
That's right. He calls it the Common Sense Caucus. He mentioned that in his press release last week. And the basis for this Common Sense Caucus, at least as far as the White House sees it, is Republicans who will buy into this notion that if there's going to be a big deal on the budget to get out of these constant crises, that it's got to include a mix of revenue from some change in the tax code plus some changes in entitlement reform. That's the baseline idea, and the idea is to find Republicans who are willing to make that trade. The president's saying, I'm willing to change entitlements in these ways. Come with me and be willing to do something on the tax code that will bring in some revenue to shrink the deficit.
And what's likely to be the result? I mean, are people in Washington who are getting an inside view of this think that the president will accomplish what he needs to do and the Republican senators will respond and Paul Ryan will respond?
Well, this is a glimmer of hope, but everybody's still quite pessimistic because we've had, plenty of reasons to be pessimistic. The best scenario would be that Republican senators find some kind of an agreement with the president. It passes the Senate, and then in the House, John Boehner allows it to come up for a vote. Anything that gets through the Senate for it to pass the House would probably have to pass with a minority of Republicans. That's something John Boehner is very reluctant to do, but that's how this dream scenario would work out. Again, everybody on all sides quite pessimistic it could happen, but relative to the total lack of progress here in Washington, this is a little bit of a glimmer of maybe some sense of progress.
John Dickerson, thank you.